The story of a new U.S. AI-powered submarine, the SSNX prototype, is not just about a machine built for fighting underwater. It is about something far more mysterious and far more important. In June 2024, something happened in the North Pacific that modern technology had never seen before. Global surveillance systems, from satellites to deep-sea sensors, detected an American-attacked submarine leaving Guam. This was the very first prototype of the SSNX program, and it was going into a secret test zone. But then, suddenly, everything went dark. Every signal connected to the submarine vanished. There was no noise, no heat, no pressure disturbances, and no radio communication. It was as if the submarine had simply dissolved into the ocean. For 4 long days, countries like Japan, Australia, and South Korea all reported a strange blackout of data in that same area. Their satellites showed nothing, their sonar arrays detected nothing, and their ocean sensors picked up nothing. When the submarine finally reappeared hundreds of miles away, the U.S. Department of Defense gave only a short, cold statement. SSNX test operation proceeded according to plan. That was it. No pictures, no details, no reports. The strange silence triggered one major question among analysts, scientists, and naval experts. How could an 8,000-ton submarine simply disappear from every modern detection system known to humanity? And even more importantly, was this vanishing a sign that the United States had built something that no nation on Earth was prepared to understand or control? To understand the importance of what happened, we need to go back to how naval power worked during most of the 20th century. Back then, the strongest submarines were the biggest, the fastest, and the most heavily armed. Machines like the Los Angeles class and the Seawolf class were symbols of their time. They were built for a world where size meant strength, and noise meant nothing if you could fire first. But the world has changed. Today, the oceans are watched more closely than the land. Thousands sands of sensors lie on the seafloor. Satellites in orbit can detect small changes in water temperature. Undersea fiber cables now have built-in monitoring systems. Even tiny pressure changes can be recorded by devices thousands of miles away. In this new world, the one thing submarines used to rely on, being hidden, no longer works. A small heat signature or a faint noise can be enough to reveal a submarine's location. And because of this, modern navies had to rethink everything. Instead of building bigger, they needed to build something that could not be seen at all. The United States Navy realized this problem early. Even its most advanced submarines, like the Virginia class, still produce heat, still make sound, and still leave a trace. Their steel hulls can only dive so deep, and their nuclear reactors always leave a thermal signature. So, in 2021, the U.S. launched the SSNX program, not to improve submarines, but to completely reinvent what a submarine could be. The goal was simple but extreme: to create a vessel that could operate forever without being detected by any sensor anywhere in the world. The deeper experts studied the disappearance of the SSNX, the clearer one question became: what kind of power source could make a submarine vanish like that? The Virginia class uses the S9G reactor, which is powerful but creates heat that satellites can see. It also requires pumps and moving parts that create a faint but detectable sound. But the SSNX left behind no heat, no sound, and no trace. It could not possibly have been powered by any traditional nuclear system. Hidden deep inside the 2024 U.S. defense budget was a small line titled Advanced Power Conversion for Sustained Submerged Operations. This simple phrase matched another phrase found in DARPA and Department of Energy research programs: research about liquid metal-cooled reactors. These reactors were tested in the 1950s, but abandoned because the materials of that time could not handle the metal. The idea was simple. Liquid metal transfers heat far faster than water, meaning the reactor creates almost no detectable heat signature. It also needs no massive pumps, meaning it makes almost no noise. In the 1950s, the Navy used a sodium-potassium liquid metal reactor in the USS Seawolf. It was powerful, efficient, and nearly silent, but too dangerous because of corrosion. Today, materials are different. High-temperature ceramics and new composite alloys can survive liquid metal safely. Civilian projects like TerraPower's Natrium reactor, backed by the U.S. government and Bill Gates, have already proven this technology can work. When these facts are compared with the strange disappearance of the SSNX, experts began to draw a pattern. Maybe, they said, the SSNX is the first submarine in history to use a modern liquid metal reactor. If true, this explains everything. No heat for satellites to detect, no vibration for sonar to hear, and no need to surface for fuel. A closed loop of energy, running silently for years. But even if the reactor made the submarine quieter and cooler, one mystery still remained. How did it avoid sonar? Sonar is the oldest and most reliable tool for finding submarines. Even if a vessel is quiet, the pressure wave it creates while moving through water usually gives it away. Here is where the SSNX seems to have another breakthrough. Engineers believe it may use an outer hull made of special composite materials that absorb sound instead of bouncing it back. Some even believe the submarine uses AI-controlled flow shaping, which means it changes the shape of the water around itself to avoid leaving a wake. Think of it like this. Instead of pushing through the water, it teaches the water to move with it. The ideas sound impossible, but recent research by military labs suggests AI can predict and counter ocean disturbances. If the SSNX uses this, it will be the first submarine to not only silence itself, but also silence its surroundings. This would explain why Japan, Australia, and South Korea all reported data blackouts. Their sensors may not have failed. The submarine may have simply erased its own presence. Combined with a liquid metal reactor, which removes heat and mechanical noise, the SSNX becomes less like a machine and more like a shadow, something that moves without interacting with the world around it. And if that is true, then the United States has built something terrifying, a vessel that can go anywhere, sit outside any enemy port, and watch everything without ever being seen. A submarine like that does not need weapons to be powerful. Its existence alone can change how nations behave. When a submarine cannot be detected, deterrence becomes psychological, not physical. If silent power was the first step that allowed the SSNX to vanish, then extreme depth was a second. Every submarine has a limit to how deep. The Virginia class can safely go down to about 490 to 500 meters. But deeper than that, nearly all human senses begin to fail. Sound behaves differently, temperatures change rapidly, and pressure makes normal equipment useless. Many experts believe the SSNX was built to dive far deeper than any U.S. submarine before it. New composite hull materials, including titanium ceramic blends, could allow depths of 1,000 meters or more. At that level, sunlight disappears completely. Even deep-sea surveillance equipment becomes unreliable. Thermal sensors cannot read accurately because of extreme cold. Sonar waves get bent, distorted, or absorbed. If the SSNX can dive this deep, then it can hide in places where the ocean itself becomes its shield. This would explain why global sensors lost it for 4 days. It may have simply gone below the level where physics allows detection. If a submarine can operate at such depth, then it can silently approach undersea cables, enemy fleets, or entire coastlines without being found. It becomes not just invisible, but unreachable. And with AI-driven navigation, it can calculate the safest, quietest paths through underwater terrain without human error. The true fear around the SSNX is not what is already done, but what it represents. An invisible submarine powered by a silent liquid metal reactor, able to dive into unreachable depths, and controlled partly by artificial intelligence, creates a new kind of military power. For the first time in history, a nation may control a weapon that cannot be monitored, tracked, or predicted. Military analysts worry that this kind of invisibility removes the balance that kept the world stable during the Cold War. Back then, every country could detect enemy submarines, even if slowly. Today, if the SSNX can disappear at will, then no nation will ever know where it is. Imagine a vessel that can sit quietly near a rival nation for weeks without detection. Imagine it listening to undersea communications, mapping secret military routes, or staying near aircraft carrier groups without ever appearing on radar. The existence of such a submarine forces countries like China and Russia to assume it is always nearby, even when it is not. This creates a new kind of pressure, a psychological weapon. Because if a submarine cannot be seen, it cannot be stopped. And if it cannot be stopped, then it holds enormous strategic power. The fear is not that the United States will attack with the SSNX. The fear is that no one will ever know what it is doing at any given moment. Its presence becomes a question mark. Always possible, never confirmed. However, the SSNX is not without risks. Liquid metal reactors, especially sodium-based ones, can be extremely dangerous if the containment system fails. Sodium reacts violently with water, creating explosions and toxic fumes. High-temperature metals require perfect temperature control, and even a small error can cause a reactor to shut down. The U.S. Navy had to solve a maintenance problem that defeated engineers 60 years ago. It also had to train AI systems to handle the stability of the reactor automatically. If the AI makes a wrong calculation or a sensor fails at the wrong moment, the submarine could lose power. And at deep sea levels, even a small failure can be catastrophic. Another risk is political rather than technical. If the submarine becomes too effective, other nations will start building their own versions. The global race to create invisible submarines may push countries into dangerous experiments, rushing to copy the technology before fully understanding it. This happened before with nuclear weapons and hypersonic missiles. When one nation gains an advantage, others try to catch up fast, often without proper safety rules. Because of this, some experts worry that the SSNX could spark a new underwater arms race. And unlike the Cold War, modern AI technology makes everything move faster. After 4 days of absolute silence, when the SSNX suddenly appeared again far from its original location, Navy officials said only that the mission went according to plan. But behind closed doors, reports leaked that the submarine had performed something extraordinary. It had traveled through one of the most heavily monitored regions of the Pacific without leaving a trace. Analysts studying data patterns from nearby nations noticed something even more unsettling. The blackout zones matched areas where deep-sea communication cables run. Some believe the submarine may have been testing new AI systems designed to map, read, or even manipulate undersea communication lines. If true, then the SSNX is not only an invisible submarine, but also a cyber warfare platform. A vessel that can move undetected and quietly interact with the digital backbone of global communication becomes more than a weapon. It becomes a ghost inside the world's information network. That is why many experts now call the SSNX the most dangerous submarine ever built, not because of its missiles or weapons, but because of what it represents: a machine that merges AI, stealth, nuclear precision, and deep-sea dominance into one single platform. A machine that can stay underwater for years, gather data everywhere, and vanish instantly. And so, what does all this mean for future? The SSNX is not just a new submarine. It is a sign that the world has entered a new era where machines can become invisible, an age where AI and advanced power systems rewrite the rules of warfare. The disappearance of the SSNX was not an accident. It was the first demonstration of a technology that removes a submarine from the map entirely. A vessel that leaves no heat, no sound, no pressure, and no trace raises deep questions. If a machine can disappear so perfectly, can it also operate without human limits? Can AI control missions in places humans cannot survive? And most importantly, if one nation controls this technology today, what happens when others catch up tomorrow? The SSNX shows that the future of military power is not about bigger weapons or faster ships. It is about something far more subtle and far more dangerous: the ability to exist without being seen. And as long as that technology remains in the hands of only a few, the world will always wonder what moves in the deep waters of the ocean. Unseen and unheard, as the world slowly began to understand the scale of what had happened, more questions appeared than answers. The Helix 9 incident became the center of global debate. Many nations demanded full transparency, claiming they deserved to know whether the ocean held dangers greater than anything science had ever predicted. Environmental groups feared that a massive unknown creature or an ancient underwater force could threaten all marine life. Military analysts questioned whether the submarine had encountered a technological phenomenon, perhaps a rogue AI system or a hidden undersea base operated by an enemy nation. Every theory added to the tension, and the lack of clear proof made the situation even more mysterious. Inside the United States, the government remained extremely quiet. No official names of the lost crew were released for weeks, and families were told not to speak to media. The public began asking whether something far bigger than a missing submarine was being covered up. The recovered audio logs from Helix. 9 were never released to the public. According to classified leaks, the sounds recorded that night were unlike anything ever captured by Navy equipment.